Hello and welcome back once again to our how to paint tutorial. Last time we kind of started out with a lot of the base coating on our Apothecary here. We did some gray cere followed by some Corax white, and we started on our kind of Talbert there, of course with our Caliban green. And I think to start out with, we are going to continue with our Caliban green because I also want to do the shoulder pad, at least one of them, and then that'll kind of open up for us to kind of continue on with the rest of our main kind of base coating. I didn't mention it last time because I kind of forgot about it and I didn't have it in my immediate vicinity, so I didn't really mention it too much. But we are going to be using lead belcher as kind of one of our primary colors, and hopefully we'll be able to kind of knock out a lot of this today. I also do want to talk about something I kind of noticed in the downtime between episodes, and I'll kind of showcase it more as we kind of turn our model around here. But I mentioned last time that he's standing on a marine, a space marine, obviously, and I thought it was a trader because it kind of makes sense, right? Like he's got his boot on his chest, and it's very evident to me that he is kind of standing over him victorious, right? And then I was looking at like the official like GW posting for this guy on their website because I was trying to figure out where I got this model from, whether it was like a combat patrol or whatever. And I noticed, because of course they paint most of their models like ultramarines, he was standing on top of another ultramarine. And so that kind of made me start to really look into it. If you notice, and maybe I'm just kind of dumb and it's very obvious, but I think this is like a one of their little like gene seed holders. And if you look, it's kind of a really small detail, but he's got a hole in his neck. So I think the implication is that he harvested his gene seed and it's meant to be like another Dark Angel if we're painting like the same Legion. Which initially I thought it was like a traitor, but he's also got the Imperialis, so he's a loyalist, questionably. Um, I'm still gonna paint him probably as a traitor legion. I think it just kind of makes more sense. I don't understand why you'd be standing on one of like your fallen comrades' torsos like that, but it did kind of throw me for a loop. So yeah, I'm still taking suggestions. If you guys want to see a specific legion or paint scheme on that kind of bottom guy, definitely let me know. I was actually kind of thinking about doing it as one of like the fallen, because then it still kind of makes sense why he's harvesting his gene seed. I don't know, like lore wise, whether they still do that or not, or whether they consider it like tainted. But I thought it would kind of make sense, at least for why he's like standing on him like that. But that's just something I wanted to kind of throw out there. I'm sure someone's probably going to leave a comment about it because I mentioned it being a traitor last time. But yeah, I've definitely recognized the error of my ways there, and I evidently just do not pay nearly enough attention to these things. But I promise I'll try to rectify that going forward. It is kind of nice though having these models that are so detailed that you just like really have to pay close attention to it, otherwise you'll just miss stuff like that, as opposed to like your standard marines who just don't have that level. So it's always pretty enjoyable for me to discover things like that. And we're going to do one more quick coat on the kind of bottom half of this Talbert real quick, just because it's we've done a couple of really thin layers, unfortunately, and it does take just a little bit to kind of build that up. And then we'll, I think, yeah, we'll definitely hit that shoulder pad one more time. And then we should be able to move on to our next color. So if you've noticed, maybe you're just joining this episode, maybe you saw the last one, I don't know. He's got like a Death Watch shoulder pad. So I do want to do that one, silver, his left shoulder pad. And then with the right shoulder pad, I just want to do kind of the like armor trim as silver, and then have the majority of it be green. I think that'll kind of give us a cool little kind of liverly, liverly, however you pronounce that. I don't know. I think it'll look cool though, so that's what we're going to do. And if it looks terrible, whatever. We'll just roll with it, right? But now that we have the opportunity to finish this shoulder pad, that should be kind of all we need to do with this green for now. Something I'm really kind of not looking forward to is all of these little raised up symbols. They're either going to be really easy to paint if we do it properly the first time, or it's going to suck and we're going to have to keep going over it. With my last Apothecary, it kind of took me a while to get it properly done, just because it's really in an awkward spot. It's not raised up by that much, so you got to be really careful about it. But I think we'll manage to power through. And I'm still kind of debating whether I want to do it like red or gold. Kind of traditionally, I think it's meant to be like red for like the medical symbols, but we'll kind of see how we feel when we get to it. And I think we're going to let the shoulder pad dry a little bit. We'll come back to it probably in this episode. I don't want to spend all day doing the exact same thing. I do want to kind of change things up just a little bit, but we're going to set that down for a minute and of course close up our paint so it doesn't dry out. And we're going to move on to our lead belcher, which I don't know how I forgot this last time when I was going through our paints, but unfortunately it's one of those things that happens. And of course I've got plenty of water on my brush already. Make sure your metallic paints are nice and thin. And we're just going to spread this all over, actually quite a large portion of this model. Everything on top of his little backpack there, this shoulder pad, and then his pistol as well. And another thing I actually noticed, I'll show it off in just a moment when we start working on the back of the model. This model has two pistols. He's got his bolt pistol here. And then if you look on the back, he has a holster here in the front. He also has a holster in the back. I don't know whether that was just something I didn't think about when I was assembling it, or whether that was something that was just in the instructions and I went with it. But whatever. I'm not bothered. He likes to dual wield, I guess. More pistols is more cool, so we'll roll with it. And we might even throw some gold on this shoulder pad as well, just because it'll kind of make that Inquisition logo look kind of more distinct, make it pop out some more. But I'm still kind of on the fence about that. We'll see what this looks like after we get it painted silver, and we'll probably throw some Nuln Oil on it at a later date. And make sure we do the top rim as well. I want to be careful not to get that helmet, because I hate having to go over and repaint that white. It's very much not an enjoyable process. And make sure we get the top. Now, you really can't see it. I was kind of looking at the inside of that shoulder pad there. That like kind of inside rim. We'll touch it up a little bit, but I don't think it's really a big focus. Most of it's kind of concealed behind his torso, so it's not too much of a concern. But it is going to be a little bit of a awkward spot to reach when we do try to paint it. And of course, be very careful as we go closer and closer to the bits we don't want silver here. We'll try to maximize the speed versus time, and kind of carefulness here, but it's a very hard line to walk, kind of balancing everything out here. If I was doing this on my own, I promise you I'd be taking like 4 times as long. I'm very, very slow when it comes to painting these normally. I'm still not like quick when I'm doing these for videos. I definitely still like to take my time, but much quicker than I normally would be. I also want to mention, because I've mentioned it in a couple other videos, but I know not everyone sees everything else, and I don't really expect you to, because I do quite a few models, and just kind of pick and choose which ones you like, right? But I do have the Sanguinor model. I think it's supposed to be delivered around the 15th I have it coming with the pre-order for the new Christmas model, the Red Gobbo, which I'm very excited for. We'll probably do the Sanguinor first, and then once we hit December, I'll do that Red Gobbo as kind of like a Christmas special thing. But I'm very excited for it. The Red Gobbo looks great this year. I really didn't like last year's model. It didn't really gel with me too well, but this year's does look great, so I'm very excited for that. And I'll be even more excited to do a video on it. Probably multiple videos. It looks like a pretty detailed model, so it'll be one of the longer ones. But he's got like a couple of models on his little. Um, it's kind of like a diorama almost. I don't remember exactly. I think there's the Red Gobbo, there's like a smaller goblin, or maybe a Gretchen or something. And then there's like a snowman as well. And it's all on one base. So I'm very excited to kind of get around to that. I'm thinking it's supposed to come on the 15th. I'm not exactly sure. It was a kind of a hot minute ago when I put the order in, unfortunately. I also noticed that the prices for models went up. Of course, I'm American, so I don't get the luxury of the UK prices, but man, I wish I did. In comparison, they are a fair bit cheaper. And I normally don't order off the website unless I'm like, there's a specific model that my local game shop doesn't have. But my local game store does like a flat 15% discount, like considerably, considerably cheaper than the online stuff. So I do try to kind of get in there when I can. The only problem I have with that is they really don't carry the same kind of paints that I like. They have like a lot of the more obscure colors that I don't really use, but if I'm looking for like Lead Belcher or like Agrax Earthshade or Abaddon Black, like they never have it in stock, and it just sucks. So I do pay full prices on my paints, unfortunately. And as we kind of move to our, um, I don't know what you want to call these, like instruments, I guess. I do want to do some kind of cool effects on these. I have a couple of colors. I got a layer paint or two that'll kind of help us with that. There's like a spotlight kind of thing here, and I want to try to get like kind of a glow effect going on that. So I don't want to do the front of it silver if I can avoid it. I just kind of want to do these little like bars. I'll be a little bit careful on that. Of course, when I start focusing on little details, my hand starts to shake, so that's great. Perfect timing. But we will do our best regardless. And perfect. And thankfully, the other instrument here is going to be just all silver. We'll keep it nice and simple. I have some technical paints for like the blood. I think it's like blood for the blood god. Maybe we'll throw that on here, kind of make it look like he's been using it, because this is a very kind of dynamic pose. It's like he's in the middle of a battle or something. So I do kind of want to spice it up with some textures and stuff. I think that'll be fun. Just kind of breathe a little bit more life into our models than I normally kind of do. And just tear through this nice and quick. Our paint is properly thinned down, so I'm not really worried about how much we have on the brush this time. Normally it's a concern, but when it comes to speed, it's not too much of a bother. I also I've talked a couple of times in like the last 3 episodes I've done, just throughout like my different series. I've talked about Factorial. I've had a severe Factorial addiction recently, and I kind of broke my promise to myself. I told myself I would not buy the DLC until I beat the base game. Well, I bought the DLC today, and I played like 2 hours of it, and I'm hooked all over again. I never really broke the addiction in the first place, but man, there's no hope now. I'm so hopelessly addicted to that game. It's not even funny. It's just so good. It is actually so good. But with that being said, We'll kind of save some of the rest of this silver for next time. I do want to move on to another one of our base colors here, and I think it's gonna kind of be one of our last ones. The rest is all just gonna be kind of stuff we use for minor detail work. But we do have a couple of holsters that need painted, and they are quite big, so we're going to be using dryad bark. If I could get the container open here. And, of course, let's get it nice and thinned down. A good bit of water mixed in. I don't know why, but it has like the texture of like sterling mud for some reason. I don't think I shook it up quite enough, but it'll do. And we're just going to go ahead and slap this on kind of carefully around the edges. I don't want to get it on that talbert if I can avoid it. I especially don't want to get our nice shiny white armor all dirty. So we'll try to kind of keep this on the holster as much as possible. And perfect. Now the hard part is doing the edges, and I don't know whether it's easier to do this from the top or the bottom, but we'll try this. And of course we need to get all four sides, so we're going to be doing some wacky angles. I do apologize if you can't see this properly, but it's only going to take a second. And there we are. Thankfully, we do have to kind of go back and fix that armor anyway. That knee pad really got some green on it, so I'm not too worried about a little bit of spillage, but I do want to avoid it if at all possible. And we'll do the top of this holster. We might even come in with some dry brushing once we're like kind of close to finishing things up. I think that'll kind of be fun. We'll kind of make it look a little bit more like worn and rugged on the edges, with some, I forget the name of it actually. I was gonna say rack white, but that's not the right color. Whatever the brown dry brush color is, we'll slap that on there as well. I just need to kind of find a dry brush that's small enough. And we'll do one quick little brush over again, just to really kind of cement that brown on there with a nice solid shade. And of course the edge. I'm not too worried about the top and bottom being perfect. I do want the kind of biggest, most like in your face sides here to be as close to solid as we can. Perfect. That's looking pretty good. Once that dries, we'll kind of judge it from there, but I think we got some decent coverage. And now we have this holster on the back as well. I don't know. Maybe there was another weapon option for this guy. Maybe he had like another. I could switch out like his bolt pistol or something else. Otherwise, I don't know why it came with two of these holsters. Because they have the medical logos, so obviously they're not for like a normal Space Marine. Because I'm pretty sure this guy did come in a combat patrol. But I don't know. It's been like literally months since I put this guy together, so it's just going to be one of life's great mysteries, unfortunately. And we're going to do the same thing, all four sides. It's going to get a little hairy here as we kind of go in between this little like Auspex device thing. I don't know if that's like a vital signs reader or an Auspex, but we're just going to ignore it for now either way. It's not too big of a deal. I think I want to do his holster, or not his holster, but his pistol grip. We'll do that like a nice silver, just to kind of break up the monotony of the brown back here. Otherwise, it's all going to kind of blend together and be one color, and it's going to kind of look weird. And I don't really want that, so we'll do our best to avoid it. And you know what? We even have kind of an extra minute, so we'll do one last color. We're going to do a little bit of tan. We'll see which one I actually grabbed. We have Wraithbone. Whoa, if I don't drop it. We might do another tan after this, probably in the next episode, depending on if this is the right shade that I want. But we are going to use a smaller brush. Of course, get it nice and wet. And I don't need too much of this on my palette, but I do want to get this kind of skull on the back that he has like tied to his waistband here. And of course we're going to probably throw a wash on this as well, just to kind of make it look kind of old and I don't know. I had a word there that I was going for, but totally forgot it. That's fine though. That's fine. We'll figure it out for next time. I also want to point out, we'll paint these next time. I always forget the name of these purity seals. There we go. Every time I look at them and I want to talk about them, I totally just blank on the name. And it happens to me literally if I'm like doing a video or if I'm talking to like someone about 40K in person. I just can never remember the name of them. I don't know what it is. I have read about them in books like over and over again. I should know the name by heart. I just don't. I don't understand what's with that. But we'll chalk it up to another one of life's great mysteries. For now, though, that is going to be the end of this. Next time we'll come back. We'll do a lot more of the details. We'll do some cleanup. We're probably going to have a couple of more episodes beyond that just because there's a lot of work to do on this guy. But we'll chip through it slowly but surely. Of course, as always, I want to say thank you guys very much for watching. It's been a great journey so far, and I hope to do many, many more videos for you guys in the future. So be on the lookout for that. If you would like to, I have a Patreon in the description. You can check that out. I also have my email down there if you want to do like commissions or just like shoot me a message about like Warhammer or anything. I don't care. Suggestions about like paint schemes, whatever. I'm open to anything. Other than that, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and hopefully I will see you guys in the next episode.